are live.
All right, everyone. I wanted to do a quick lead-in. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Frank Collada. I'm the president of Symco. We have just started doing these webinars, and this is the first one we're doing for technology managers and end users in the commercial AV space. The others have been very well attended for the integrators and the consultants. And we wanted to get this message out to you after a really strong new product announcement at their global sales meeting 2.5 weeks ago. So Biamp, we've been with them for 10 years, just a short history. We're their agent or their independent rep in the Northeast. It's been a fantastic ride, only enhanced about 3 years ago when Highland Partners and Rashid Scaff took over the company, and they have come light years in just those 3 years and done remarkably well, even in light of all the recent challenges the past year. And that's thanks in part to a great management team, great innovation team. And I'm sure what Vinny's going to go over with you, you're going to find very exciting, and that they've yet again leapfrogged and set the bar higher, which is great. Their goal is to make Biamp easy to do business with and to make their products easy to work and the best working products in the market. And I think what you'll see today will reinforce that. I just wanted to briefly introduce Vinny. They say every time you're presenting, get someone to introduce you to establish your credibility. Anyone that already knows Vinny knows that there's no need to establish his credibility. He's just fantastic, both at a personal and a professional level, and then engineering even tops both of those. Fantastic engineer, been with us a year, but has a long history with the current owners of Biamp, being ex-AMXers way back 20 or so years ago. That's where Vinny was first active with them. And it's through them, Deb Franklin specifically, that brought me and Vinny together, or Symco and Vinny together a year ago. And it's been absolutely fantastic. I think it's been a whirlwind of a year, even regardless of COVID, just because of all that Biamp's done and all that Vinny's been able to do with them. And it's just getting better and better. So I wanted to quickly introduce Vinny, thank Vinny, and most importantly, thank all of you for giving us your time. Hold on to your seats, because there's some really cool stuff that we're building to on this 1-hour webinar. And there will be Q&A at the end, but raise your hand anytime and ask anything. So thank you again, and have a great webinar.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Vince. So we're going to go over the new products that Biamp's bringing out. Just realize that, they cover a whole range of businesses now. So, we're going to start with speakers, and at the end, we're going to go into the new DSP products, right? So hang in there. Here, let me start our presentation. Okay, show everybody see my screen, right?
Yep, all set.
Good. All right. So first, let me start with, so whether it's been through acquisition or homegrown internally, Biamp's grown a lot. It's changed a lot. And as far as the acquisitions go, they were separate companies, separate products that did their own thing. And Rashid's goal has been, and he's been saying, is to create this idea of a beacosystem, right? So the beacosystem is the idea that, we've got Cambridge for sound masking, we've got Vocia for paging, we've got Tessera for, our AV side. He's really, this new release of products really goes to show that we're bringing them all together, right? It's going to truly become one beacosystem. So the 6 new products that we're introducing are a new set of EX speakers, Cambridge QTX, which is a real game changer for sound masking, Npx Paging Station, which layers right over top of the new Cambridge QT and brings paging to Tessera. Venue Polar, again, in Biamp's attempt to show that it's all about saving time, which ends up being money. If you were to build our arrays, it would take a lot of time. So we've come up with some utilities to help our guys that do that save a lot of time. And then the 2 big announcements, our new Devio SCX and our Tessera Forte X. So before I get into the DeSono EX, again, Biamp's not just a DSP manufacturer anymore. Along the way, we've acquired Apart, we've acquired Community. So we've had our own speakers, before the acquisitions. So we have all these different speakers now. And it's gotten confusing. It's gotten confusing to our dealers, our end users. We're working on it. So, again, let me back up here. We have, between Apart, Community, and DeSono, as they were known 2 weeks ago, that made up 21 families, 243 accessories, 490 loudspeakers. Trying to find them wasn't fun. We use them for all kinds of applications, which just makes it more broad, right? They fit everything from retail, food service, hospitality, leisure, sports venues, corporate, and education. Yet, we really do want to make it easy. Again, we were separated before: large venue, retail, and hospitality. How can we make it easier? We didn't really change a lot except the way we're organizing and labeling everything. So now we have commercial loudspeakers, we have DeSono business audio, and we have community performance and specialty audio. Everything under commercial DeSono is all going to be labeled Biamp, right? There's no more, whether it's Apart or Community. Everything you're going to see in those spaces are going to be 100% Biamp. And then Community is keeping its name somewhat for the loudspeaker group. So what does this mean? To us, commercial loudspeakers are the installer-friendly loudspeakers intended for large-scale distributed deployments. So paging, background music, just generic audio through a big space. Again, tons. We have all kinds of models. Most of these are available in the U.S., but not all of them yet, because some of these came from our Apart line, which was a European company. Our DeSono speakers are what we're putting our business class speakers into. So these are going to cover, our ceiling speakers, our wall mount speakers, and some of our small arrays. And again, these are what we typically see in the business space. And then, of course, we have our, there's all different models. Then, of course, we have our large venue. Come on. And large venue is, what most people really knew Community for, because so many people didn't know that Community makes some of the best in-room speakers. That whole high intelligibility is in everything they do, but most people only knew them really for the large venue and outdoor stuff. So again, nothing new there other than it's easier to find on the website. Now when you go to the website, they even broke it down more where you can say ceiling speakers, and you're going to see all the ceiling speakers we make in one spot. So again, all about making it simpler. So since all these acquisitions have happened, the first new speaker that's being introduced that, we'll see in a moment, pulls from, the experience from all the different lines that came together to be Biamp speakers, is the DeSono EX. Very, very pretty, elegant speaker. Again, we had an industrial designer come in, help make it from every angle. It's pretty, it's clean. As you'll see, the installation's clean. So again, this is a high-end, good-looking speaker. Premium service mount loudspeakers designed for presentation spaces, restaurants, hotels, bars, multi-purpose spaces, and themed entertainment and sports facilities. Performance audio optimized for voice and music, extended bass with high output, outdoor ready. So from the go, these speakers can 100% be used indoor or outdoor, and you don't have to worry about them. Sophisticated design, indoor attractive, distinctive diamond pattern grille, time-saving installation features. The indoor attractive part is a lot of times speakers that will, are really made to be outdoors don't have the kind of look that we want to see in a really nice space on the inside. Here, Biamp's managing to pull off, all that in one speaker. So this can be a go-to speaker. 3 models. There's going to be a 6.5, an 8-inch, and a 10-inch. The 6.5-inch is a dome tweeter. The 8 and the 10-inch are compression drivers for the high frequency. There's also a 10-inch subwoofer. They're in black or white. We've already been asked, and yes, they are paintable. They're coming out right out the door with global certification from the beginning. And again, most of our speakers, especially our conferencing speakers, are coaxial speakers. And a lot of people say, speakers are speakers. It really doesn't matter. It does. And I really didn't learn that until, and this was before I came to work here, I went and visited, oddly enough, the community factory. Anyway, when you use a coaxial speaker, you get consistent coverage. You get, it's great for high fidelity music or speech reinforcement. Your low frequency extension and flat frequency response, because the low frequency and high frequency drivers project from a single point in space, right? That's what gives us this uniform coverage and this great even frequency response. So again, a coax speaker, especially when we're interested in intelligibility, is really important. So this makes, so that your sound is extremely coherent. Now, if you were familiar with our apart speaker, they had this really, really cool click mount. So like I said, we've kind of taken from both sides. We got the compression drivers that community was known for, but here you're seeing, a modified version of the mounting system that we were using in apart. So it's a pre-mounted bracket, pre-assembled for your convenience. So it comes as one assembled part. You can mount on any flat surface. Now, once you put the 4 screws in to mount that base plate to the wall, it's hard to see, but there's a beauty ring around the outside of that rectangle. When, that pops off and the screws are underneath there. Once you put those screws in using a drill or a screwdriver, you're done with tools. The rest of the whole install of the speaker is toolless. So what we mean by that is, first off, we have pass-through parallel connections, and they're Wago connectors. So they're the lever lock Wago connectors. So again, you strip your wire, pop the lever up, slip your wire in, pop the lever down, you're done. Toolless click to mount speaker installation. So once you lock the mount on the top of the mount and click it in, it locks over with a lever. You don't need any tools to go that far, to finish up. There's predefined clicks on both the horizontal and the vertical. So the idea here is, a lot of times we get in early, and we're trying to get the speakers wired, but we don't really want to put the speakers up because they still got ladders going around, all kind of trades working. This allows us to wire up all those cables into the mounting block. We leave the beauty plate off. We get all those mounted. Now, after all the trades are done, we can align them because we got the detents in the mount. We can set them at the exact angle we want. When all the trades are done, we walk back through with the speakers, we drop them in, lock them out, done, move on to the next one. So again, that idea of, being able to do that pre-wire, not have to wait till the end, is a really big time saver. Overall, just because of the features of the speaker, we see a 35% decrease on installs. Now, that's great if you have a flat surface to mount on. If you, need to do on top of something or under an overhang, there's also going to be a U-bracket. All the same features optimized for non-flat surfaces. Pre-mounted bracket, pre-assembled for convenience. Toolless wire connections. Again, it's got the same Wago connectors. Hidden inside the wall bracket. So the cable, what they're talking about there is, you can see a notch on where the bracket meets the wall. You can actually slip the cable in through there. So once you get to the mount, you won't see it. Again, there's a little mounting plate on the back of the speaker it would take the part of the click mount that actually mounts in the speaker, except it's waterproof with a waterproof nut. So you just run your wire into that. There's a set of Wago connectors in there, and it clips on the back just like the wall mount speaker. The other thing about the wall mount that I didn't mention, the mount always goes up the same way. So, again, the mount always goes up the same way. Now, when you go around with your speaker, whether you want to do it horizontal or vertical, it doesn't matter. It'll actually mount on the mount either way. So you never have to worry about flipping your mount around. And again, this has predefined clicks, so you can set your angle. Here's the specs on the speaker. Again, 6.5 inch, which is a tweeter. 8 and 10 inch are compression drivers. There's a 10-inch sub, and again, all with great frequency response. So, 4 new speakers, outdoor ready, coax speakers, available black or white, click mount or U bracket. Now, something unique about this is a lot of times if they come with one mount, And if you want the other mount, you'd have to pay extra. We're actually going to have you can order it either way. And that way you won't have the extra cost. Venue Polar. This was the one for a big venue, guys. Again, I was saying how if you're somebody who has to develop an array, set of speakers for a stadium or a large venue, there's a lot to it. And Ease Focus is one of the applications a lot of people use, and it's what we use to do our heat maps for our speaker coverage. So what Biamp did is they worked with the makers of Ease Focus, and we developed a plugin. So without the plugin, if you were to design an array, you're looking at 55 settings for every IV6. There's 2 cabinet options, and usually you have 10 speakers in a rig. So that's 110 to the 10th configurations, or 259 quintillion configurations, right? Because there's different splay plates to control the angles of your cabinets, and cabinets come in different angles. You put all those permutations together, and every one of those makes a big difference. So, each parameter affects the performance of the entire array. So what did we do? We kind of did it backwards. Now you can put in the characteristics you want to achieve. So, your cabinet quantity, what kind of model, no, I'm sorry. You just need to do what your target level is going to be, optimize down to what frequency, how far you want to overshoot your last row. You can restrict the number of cabinets. You can also set a weight limit so that as it starts designing it, it's going to pay attention to the weight limit and let you know if you exceed it. Once you put in all those parameters, it's going to calculate that parts list for you. So it's going to give you all the cabinets, all the display plates, correct number of cabinets, type of cabinets, display brackets, suspension array frame, agent commissioning system on site, indicates physical position of passive acoustic optimization cabinet settings, provides aiming details for the entire array, and provides load report for on-site engineering. Again, that's hours worth of work that we're basically just turning into give us your requirements and let it do the work. And again, that's free to our dealers. It's just part of Ease Focus now. Cambridge QTX, sound masking. Sound masking is a very big deal these days, especially in hospitals, with HIPAA and not overhearing conversations. So really great time to come out with a game-changing product. So, our existing product is the Cambridge QT. This is now the QTX. So what does the X series do for us? Well, this is the industry's first all-in-one solution for direct field and indirect sound masking. We do sound masking because it protects speech privacy, reduces noise distractions, and increases acoustic comfort in every type of facility, regardless of the architectural design or ceiling type. Radical simplification in pulling this off. One controller for all installations, plug and play paging and music, which is really exciting. Uses existing industry-leading emitters, and one setup tool. Enhanced flexibility and security, modern network architecture, optimized zone control, enterprise device and network security. So, not only did we get excited about it, as soon as it came out, we started to see articles. People were already recognizing that, there's only a couple players there anyway, and these were enough changes to really, really make things different for pulling off sound masking, actually paging and background music all in one. So what are the products actually that are coming out? So the QTX, again, whole new platform. Looks familiar, kind of similar in size to QT. So it's a familiar but updated design and user interface. Has an LCD panel for user control and feedback. Again, same nice small form factor. 4-button keypad for quick and easy adjustments. Simple hybrid control for both direct and indirect sound masking. And again, that's a really big deal. What else? Well, has seamless fire panel integration with dedicated connector. Has 4 models. There's only 4 models in this whole line that cover everything we do in sound masking. Simple connectivity for background music and paging. AVB and Dante capability now, or compatibility. So Little guy, right? We used to have the QT300. Here's the QTX 300. Has 12 uncorrelated masking generators, 2 contacts. One's dedicated as that emergency mute. It has 2 GPIO connections that you can configure to either do other events or trigger something. 2 balanced audio inputs, which are really important in a minute. 3 amplified QT emitter output runs. This box will do sound masking up to 36,000 square feet. All the wire connections now are removable Euro blocks. You have 2 assignable privacy sign connections. So you can actually have those privacy signs tied to a zone. And whenever masking's turned on in that zone, the sign would light up to tell you privacy is active. And that'll automatically happen just because you programmed it to follow the zone. Dual network ports, so you can separate control and media, because again, we support AVB and Dante. 24-volt power supply included. So over Dante, we're giving you 8 channels of networked audio in and out, which will become clear in a couple minutes about why that's really important. The next one is the QTX 600. This one has 24 uncorrelated sound masking generators, 6 amplified QT emitter output runs. This one will do up to 72,000 square feet. And again, same analog IO, GPIO network ports. Then we have the 800, 8 uncorrelated sound masking generators on board. UL 2043 for plenum installation. All 8 outputs individually tunable, controllable for individual speaker control. Optional 48-volt power input. This guy's actually PoE powered. So on this one, the power supply is separate because we're expecting it to be PoE powered. Supports network Dynasound speakers as well. 8 amplified speaker outputs. And again, same analog and GPIOs that we saw. And then the last of the newest models, the QTX 805. This one, again, has the rack mount included. 8 uncorrelated sound masking generators on board. And you can choose between 8 amplified or 8 preamp outputs. And they're actually both active. So you can do 8 directly out to your speakers because it's amplified. You can take the other 8 and feed another series of amplifiers to get even more sound masking. Again, the 800s, are plenum rateable. They come with a tile bridge mount. And you can see 3 different ways that you can mount it up in the plenum. And why this is really nice is if we're doing sound masking and background music now, this is all it takes. What you're seeing here is here's the 3 QTX 300 head ends. We have a music source feeding one of them, and we have a music source feeding a different one. Once we do that, that music source is available to all the zones in the system. So we can feed any of the head ends now and take that background music and feed it to all the zones, which means now we can have multiple sources and hit them from different spots. Along with that one analog input can be predefined as a page mic input. So it gives you, a single button page and you predetermine the zones, but that's right off the head end, right? And that's built in out of the factory, just comes with it. Now, if we were doing sound masking, paging, and music today, this is what it looks like. Sorry, this is what it looks like. When we start bringing in new products, right, first we had these different QT heads that were all different tapes, different manufacturers, not different manufacturers, but from our either Dynasound or QT side. We replace them all with QTX. The next thing that happens is we would put Vocia on top of this, and that's how we would achieve the background music and be able to distribute that around. That all goes away. Right? Again, all built into QTX now. Okay. So again, it has the ability to bring a single page mic right into, you could do one for each of the head ends. From there, programming the page station programs just like you're used to seeing in our Vocia platform. Again, select the zone you want the page set to priority level. And again, if we go back to here, again, you can set the priority and zone. So again, QT, real game changer. All one controller for direct and indirect sound masking. So again, even in existing platforms, we can take our new head end and merge what was either our Dynasound products or our QT products. Out-of-the-box support for basic paging and music. Advanced network security, seamless fire panel integration, fully integrated with SageView, which is our monitor managing firmware loading platform. Drag and drop software design. You can actually take different outputs from different heads and say, make this a single zone. And it's all drag and drop programming now. So again, very easy to define your zones. Now, that covers basic paging. In order to go a little further, we have another product coming out, which is our Npx Paging Station. So it's going to come in it's going to work with, so this works with Tessera and QTX. So again, this idea that the platforms are coming together, with this being another new product, you can see it's kind of agnostic, right? One product, are we going to use it with QT or are we going to use it with Tessera? Doesn't matter. We're going to look at that same product, for the functions it provides. As a when it sets on the table, it's got a bit of an angle to it. That foot can be removed, and once you remove it, it can actually be mounted to the wall. This is a picture of the 4-button version. Has 16 paging priority levels. It's PoE powered, so very clean on the install side. There's a 10 or 4 button. Like I said, there's the 4 button. Table or wall mount and page latch button. So if you're going to, be talking for a while, you can actually hit the page lock. Now, this is a smart device, so it actually at that point is going to show you in the window there that the unit is receiving audio. If you stop talking for a set time that we can set, it'll automatically stop the page and go back to doing what it was doing, right? And you actually get visual notification again. So again, kind of a smart interface there as well. Multi-line full color LCD display. You can use it to unlock device, select and execute page codes, record messages, live mic indicator, which is what I was speaking about a moment ago, and message playback progress. Interesting. So this guy on board supports storing up to 10 messages. Those 10 messages can add up to 50 minutes of time, right? So I have 50 minutes of recording time that I can split across those 10 messages, and now those 10 messages can be recalled, and we'll show you how to do that. This is the 10-button panel, supports up to 999 page codes. Push button security code, default and customizable preambles. So it'll import different audio formats, convert as what it wants, and there's a ton of storage. So, it's not like you have 5 or 6 preambles. You can do quite a bit. This is the handheld mic version. So that was the stem mic. And again, both of these can be table or wall mounted. This one is the handheld though. Nice small handset, just fit in your hand. Push the talk button on the side. Magnetic latch, so you just put it near the dock and it'll grab. 7-foot cable length, very pliable cable, comparable to what we have on our new Vocia DS panels. Now, within the MPX, the DSP is built in. So the audio is all processed and cleaned up before it's recorded or before it's handed off for the actual page. So this means we don't need to use any resources from any other devices out on the network. It's all self-contained. Why this matters. Improves the quality of local recorded messages, offload system DSP. Now, even though this is a brand new product, we have lots of Vocia out there. Again, Biamp's trying to be very aware of, we're trying to keep things the same but change them, right? We're not trying to send people, oh my God, what is this? It doesn't look anything like what I was using. So along those lines, very similar look and feel, but again, a whole new design. So, this is a DS4, DS10 on the left, and on the right is what we see on the new one. Again, we all like consistency, spent quite a few years as a programmer. You know, we want to see every room be the same, right? So this is how we were doing paging with QTX before. We could do our background music directly in to one of the head ends. It could be shared everywhere, but we still had to do Vocia to get the paging out to the system. Now what happens is we lose all the Vocia pieces, we put in the Npx, and we have the same functionality we just had. Now, this is not for your life safety needs. This isn't for multi-tenant, multi-building solutions, but for very, paging within a space. And again, not worried about life safety, but we still have the emergency mute. It makes it very easy to deploy. Reduces equipment costs, simplifies installation. Consider we're a hardware manufacturer, we just cut our profit. Now, another nice thing about this is both on QT and Tessera, we have the ability to set up a schedule. We can use this schedule to trigger the Npx, which means we can either send out chimes, use it to do a bell ring, use it to send a message out, a pre-recorded message out at a set time, right? So all these, bring the idea of scheduling that Npx and those resources to do whatever we want. So in Tessera, it looks just like we do other things, where we create a preset, and in that preset, we're going to actually have it reach out to the Npx and do the page. Now, currently, a lot of people are still using our audio and the NPS1 to do paging systems. Again, we didn't really have a good paging station in Tessera. So now you can replace these systems with Npx, Fortes, TC5s, and amps, which means that we've actually cut the list price of that solution by almost $3,000. And again, newer platform, more robust, more flexibility. And everything's a Cat5 solution, right? Even our amplifiers. So we also have speakers that are Cat5. So again, the whole system can be installed with pre-made cables or easily terminated cables. Now, we talked about how this is, going to bring full paging to QT. It said it's going to work with Tessera too. So made it really easy in Tessera. There's going to be a block you could drop in that says paging and zone control. You can do one block per design. As soon as you go to drop the block in, it's going to ask you for the number of zones. You can do up to 32. As soon as you do that, most of it's already built for you. It already is going to understand the zones and the mappings. Those little connections that are on the paging zones are actually for your background music feed. So within Tessera, we can pick what audio we want to send out for our background. And then whenever the paging implements, it'll automatically duck the background music and give you your page. Now, how do we program the paging station? Just like Vocia. The paging control block looks and feels like Vocia, right? Again, you got a page code, you can label it, pick what zones it's going to control, pick what the preamble is going to be, pick if the action is going to be live or recorded message, give it a priority. Again, very familiar looking. So it natively integrates with both Tessera and QT. 16 paging priority levels, supports Biamp, AVB, and Dante in one device. I didn't really mention that. So standard, the QT box, back to QT, all QT will have AVB by default. There is an optional version for Dante. If you have the Dante version, you can pick between Dante or AVB. But again, it does, in the end, it supports both. Npx, on the other hand, comes out the door supporting both. So it will do both Dante and AVB. For a 10-button version, table or wall mount, PoE-powered onboard DSP. TechX, we're kind of late with this one. It's finally going to come out in March. But what we're introducing here is there's now going to be a set of table stands for it. So it's going to have a fixed orientation angle, color match to the TechX, Rubber ring on the bottom, much like our table mics, so it won't slide around with a weighted base. Nice, clean look. And again, we are not a control system, but, with control programming in my history, I've had Tessera do camera presets, turn displays on and off, all based on plugging a USB cable in. So no, we're not a full-blown control system. But if a room needs 2 or 3 things done, we're liable to handle it. And that lets us do a very inexpensive, sophisticated looking panel on the table that we can use to do those couple of functions. So again, simple, clean, easy. Now, the good stuff. It's all good, but my favorite. Devio SCX. So today, this is what everybody knows as Devio. And we've had a lot of success with Devio last year and the beginning of this year. Received really well, working really well. Problem is, everybody said, okay, I want to do Devio, but the room's X big, and it's bigger than we can do with one of our X-style mics. So our biggest problem was we love the idea of Devio, very easy to put in. There's no programming to do. We just hit the button, it tunes itself, and it works. Well, this is now an addition to the Devio family. To the way I explain it now, to me, Devio has become a scalable but not customizable solution. So remember that, scalable but not customizable. So basically, this is allowing us to take that whole concept of no programming, self-configuration, self-setup on a larger scale. So the next generation of Devio deploys at groundbreaking speed and delivers extraordinary audio quality, now available for medium and large conference spaces. You didn't see the Forte X yet, but again, they look very similar. Supports a range of Biamp network devices. Now comes standard with VoIP. Automatic setup, 0 programming. So here's the back of it. Basically, we took a DSP, a TC5, which is our network appliance, and stuck them in the same box. So you now have one non-PoE port that is meant to go to the customer's network for VoIP and control. We then have 4 PoE plus ports that we can then use to plug our devices in or uplink to, another switch to add more devices. Not really the case with Devio, but we'll get there with Forte. And also a USB port. Now, this USB port, unlike today's Forte, supports everything we want from the UC side. So you do not have to use an EXUBT anymore. But the good news is, if you want to use an EXUBT in Devio, Devio will allow you to do one EXUBT in addition to its onboard port. So let's go through what I mean by what it'll let you use. So it's coming in 2 models, an SCX 400 and 800. And it supports the whole kind of family of the new products that have come out over the last 2 years. Now, the 400 800 determines the amount of AC channels, or basically microphones. So you can do up to 4 or 8 of our parlay microphones. It supports our amp 450 amps, which can either be the BP, the backpack, or the P. It supports 1 EXUBT, 1 HD1 dialer, and you could add additional TC connects if you need more. All that and 0 programming. So basically, if I want 4 mics, maybe I got 2 TCMXAs, which are, I don't have my camera on, a box here, that gives us a 2-channel amplifier and 2 mic inputs on the same box. I just plug it into the back. I'm going to do, another amplifier because I got more speakers. I plug it into the back. I'm going to use VoIP at the table. So I'm going to plug in an HD1 and give them a dialer on the table. Once I plug everything in, we're going to initiate a new concept that Biamp has called Launch. And the first place that it'll appear is Devio. So Launch describes a range of automation and other smart features. It's focused on speeding up deployment. Devio SCX is just the start of Biamp Launch. So let's take a look. So again, this box, has a little button on the front of it. When you first get it and first power it up, that first hit, you can have it do launch, right? So that single press is going to have it look for all those devices you plugged in. So I plugged in that TCMXA and that amp and that HD1. It's going to find them. It's going to say, okay, HD1, that means VoIP. This many amps, this many speakers. Says, okay, I got the hardware side. And then actually we'll do now remember, it's all our hardware. So we know what all the specs on all our hardware is. For us, that's a calibrated mic and speaker, right? We can pull that off. So we actually look at the room, we evaluate the acoustics of the space. We then say, okay, just like we do today, we have this concept of poor, fair, good, an acoustic evaluation of a space. And to us, that means a special curved EQ, a special way we're going to handle our AGC, right? It has us change our parameters. That acoustic evaluation changes the target values that the system's going to try to set. Once it does that, it starts tuning the whole system. So while I didn't have this in my hands yet, we got to see a demo of it, and it'll throw sweeps out to speakers, and it just goes through all of them. And it literally goes through all the microphones and speakers, checking every channel and every input. So once that whole process is done, you can web into the box. Now, first thing we're going to get is a report on the room, right? It's going to say what the initial speaker tuning looked like. It's going to say what the RT60 measurement in the room was and what the noise floor measurement was. Then it's going to say after calibration, here's how we did meeting our targets, right? Were we able to achieve what we needed to tweak in the room to get a good response? You also have, an overview of everything in the room, all the devices that were configured, their serial numbers, firmware versions, if they're online, offline, the whole deal, right? So again, this idea that I can plug all those things in and it's going to do what it's going to do. It's going to give me a UC environment. If I throw the HD1, it's going to do a mix minus of all that, and it's going to work, right? From the web interface, if I were to put an EXUBT in, I could turn on and off the Bluetooth. So again, I have some expandability, but no customization. If I want to do a voice reinforced mic, all out. It's strictly, like I said, creates that standard UC vanilla conference room. So it's a game changer. We see it as a game changer. Devio, again, everybody loved the concept of Devio, but it wasn't scalable enough. When we scaled Devio, we no longer do the video portion that we do in the SCR series. But once we scaled to a bigger solution, it didn't make sense anyway. You're doing something else for video. We're not going to be the best transport for that at this point. You're going to end up extending HDMI, extending USB. But that idea of it is what it is, it's going to work every time. It's not going to take a technician to configure it, right? That's what Devio is. So live Devio and launch is a game changer. Further reduces time to finish a room. Guarantee, you're going to get a verified experience. And again, there's limitations. This isn't going to work in the worst rooms of the world, right? Everything's within certain parameters. But for that 80% of those standard conference rooms, this will get it there. So what does Devio look like, right? We have our small room configuration, which would be, our SCR20 with a table mic or ceiling mic and a couple of speakers. Our medium room solution, would be, your UC client, and then we're going to have the medium room would be one mic and two speakers. If we were doing a large room, we could do the 2 mic, 4 speakers, though as the bundles are defined now on like the Microsoft website. But now we can do this idea of an extra large room. And that extra large room is scalable all the way from that 2 mic in the medium, in the large, all the way up to 8 mics, right? We show 4 there, but it'll support up to 8. That's a really big room. So again, this idea of, predefined spaces and knowing what they're going to do in a very basic way is kind of done. Again, so we have Biamp Launch Automate Discovery and Tuning. Works with other Biamp network peripherals, again, the HD1, the amps, the mics, both the TCMX, TTMX, which is our table version, and independent mics. You can use any one of those. Again, supported by SageView, SCX 400 and 800, up to 8 parlay microphones. Oh, with VoIP. Also for the VoIP, once you put the HD1, it would on the network and it configures. It would configure the VoIP, and then from the web interface, you would just go in and enter your credentials and register the line. So here's the bundles, list price for the bundles that'll be available. And they're the medium and large. The medium is 1 mic, 2 speakers. Large are 2 mics and 4 speakers. Now, so let's talk about Forte X. That's Devio SCX. So here's our current Devio that hopefully everybody out there is using and loving. You know, we sure like them and sell a lot of them. And when we do our bundles now, you know, that DSP was made a few years ago before we were doing UC conferencing. And, you know, it didn't support the advanced HID features we need to do mute support and talk to these UC clients. So we, you know, part of our bundle was you had to buy an EX UBT to pull that off. And then the other part of our bundle was, you know, our audio network runs on an AVB network. Biamp decided to come out with an appliance that was, you know, 4 ports of PoE, 1 non, plug and play, plug our devices in, it's going to work. So that became part of the bundle so that it, again, was very easy to deploy. Basically, we stuck all that in one box. So this box is 1/3 the size of a current Forte. It's actually smaller than the Devio box. Comes in 3 models, an X 400, 800, and glad to say 1600. So they are 4, 8, and 16 channels of AEC. If we look at the back of it, it looks scarily like the Devio, right? It is the Devio with an additional 2x2 analog I/O and GPIO ports. Other than that, some, you know, very basic model as the SCX. So again, upgraded VoIP. So, you know, with Tessera, we hadn't run into anything we couldn't do, but they were starting to hit memory limitations on the card, and, you know, it's getting there. All redesigned VoIP stack, you know, we're not going to see limitations of that for quite some time. Again, the USB port, you know, up to date, supports all the HID stuff we need. 2x2 analog I/O, uses the same locking power connector that we use on our TC5D. 4 channels of GPIO. Now, notice the 5 ports, say for AVB, Dante, VoIP, and control. So, right out the door, Forte X, Dante, and AVB. No more wondering which model to get. You know, Rashid has been saying over and over, we don't make money off AVB or off of Dante. We use AVB because of the advantages it gives us in our programming. But as far as deployment, we want to use them all and be accepted by all of them. So Dante is now standard. This guy is meant to be, you know, everybody kept, the biggest question I had over the last 6 months in doing product overviews is when do we get a DSP that can fit behind a TV? Well, here it is. Even comes with a mounting plate to go right behind the TV. It has some cable management locks on it so that, you know, you'll strain relief your cables, which is really nice because they won't fall behind. Again, so the X series, 70% smaller, VoIP, 16 channels of AEC, 2x2 analog, GPIO. Now, this is interesting. So when you go to the Microsoft website, we have our bundles listed there, right? As does every other, you know, people that have the bundle for Microsoft. Here's what's interesting. The prices on the bottom are as the prices are there today using the current Forte TC5 EX-UBT bundle. When the X platform comes out in the bundle, it's actually going to be less expensive. So we were able to drop the overall cost of the bundles by, you know, for the medium room, it dropped, what, $740 or $20. So again, as Biamp has been doing, like our QT pricing of our new stuff is very in line with our old stuff. It's kind of getting to be the mantra of do more for the same money, right? Update everything, try to keep the prices the same. So we're getting more for less. Here's what's really interesting. Let's talk about launch in Forte X. So when you get an X Series Forte and you open up out of the box, it's basically a Devio, right? So it supports that whole plug everything in, hit the button, have it find it, have it configure it, have it tune the room, web in, see the report, configure a VoIP. You can do all that with a Forte right out of the box. Supports that same setup as the SCX. So again, basically a Devio out of the box. But like today, when you get it to Sarah and there's a default program in it, and when we go to load a program up from the Sarah software, we, delete that existing program. When you load your custom file, it'll disable launch, right? So again, there's this idea that the Tessera Forte out of the box is the same as Devio. The difference is, if you want to make it custom, you can go into Tessera, write your program, and load it up, and it works like any other Tessera, right? So it's fully compatible with all our other devices. You could take an existing server I/O and make this an addition to that system, right? Once we get out of that launch mode, it programs just like any other Tessera. So what's really nice here too is, again, we're trying to get away from, in these simpler installations, of having to break out the software or do programming. So some of the other things that are in the launch dashboard when you're running it, as you can see what's going on with mics, you can see, the different reports. You can go to maintenance tools, reboot, you can do firmware updates. So again, in that launch mode, it's a full web interface, do everything from the web interface, again, trying to keep those things simple. And again, here's where you can come in and we can do, we can do our VoIP settings right in here. We can also do the event scheduler. So again, you can have different things happen based on time and troubleshooting. So when we compare the two platforms, here's kind of what happens. They both have the launch button. They both have PoE Plus. They both have the USB port. The Devio maxes out at 8 AEC channels. The Forte X 16, of course, we can stack them. You can only use one Devio. They both have VoIP. The SCX has no GPIO or analog. Again, they both do Biamp VoIP and control. There is a Tessera text protocol for these. So even though they're predefined, you'll be able to do some muting and stuff from a control system if you want to. And they're all supporting by Sage. So that is the end of the new product presentation.
Okay, we do have some questions, Vinny.
Okay, yep.
How do you get the vendors to offer the customers these kind of solutions without trying to sell me full-blown control systems?
Yeah. Control systems, and I'm a control guy, control systems are sometimes, I hate to say necessary evil. It depends on the scale of the room. That's a hard one to answer because, we see a lot of rooms that don't require any integrations and some do require integration. And now that we're starting to see Zoom and Teams allow some, them to do some stuff directly, that's a hard question to answer. And again, this idea of that one button configuration, remember, no wireless mics, no voice reinforcement. So some of what causes the need for control system is that push for customization. I got to have a Blu-ray player. That's kind of what we got to question somewhat, I think, before we talk control system or not. I don't know if that helps, but, and again, we're trying to tell our dealers too that you can make money with these because you're still doing those auditoriums and boardrooms, right? It's all one big project.
Okay, I'm assuming what looks like vent ports on the side of the Tessera Forte X means that it's not plenum rated.
We've asked if it's plenum rated, and I haven't gotten an answer yet. And I don't think it is, because I can tell you that there are fans built in. So it is part of the way they're dealing with heat. But I actually don't know if it's plenum rated or not yet.
We'll get back to you on that one. Assuming that's a single Dante Brooklyn card.
Yeah, well, not sure how they pulled it off, but you get a 32 by 32. It's literally the Forte D. I mean, the Tessera Connect 5D. That's basically what's in that box.
Okay, next, will we be able to toggle between launch mode and custom DSP programming?
Yes, so it'll come with launch, but as soon as you go to load it with a custom program, it'll disable launch and it'll run like every other Tessera.
Let's see, is the AVB Dante standard, or is it sold as a separate option on the QT 800?
On the QT, it is an option. The AVB is standard, and Dante is, I think it's an extra $200 list, I think.
Yeah, and it's a different model number with a D.
Yeah, there's a D on the end.
And with the Forte X, using AVB and Dante, can you use both at the same time?
Absolutely. Again, you could picture a Forte plugged into a TC5D, and you have all that functionality, right? It's agnostic to you, whether it's AVB or Dante, just program it.
I don't see any more questions. Anything else, anybody?
Well, thanks for spending your hour with us, and hopefully you see that, again, Biamp's not much for telling us what's coming, but I, for one, was very pleasantly surprised with what they delivered. None of us thought they were truly going to start bringing all the platforms together the way they are. So I could tell you from the internal FSEs, we're all excited to see all this happen because it's what we wanted. So, well, again, thanks for joining us. And again, reach out if you guys want any more information on any of this. We'd be glad to put time aside and talk about whatever you'd like. So, everybody have a good day.
Thanks, Vinny.
All right, bye, everyone.